Hello everyone, it's Will from Anastasia Island Branch, and we are here for another edition of Quirky History. And I thought this edition, even though it's a little early, would be appropriate since Harry Potter's birthday is coming up at the end of July. So with that being said, this edition of Quirky History is going to be about the history of jelly beans. This one was requested. This was a fun one to put together. I like the idea of taking these popular food items and candies especially and figuring out exactly how they came to be for us today. So with jelly beans, we don't really know exactly how they were created, as in the first person who thought of the recipe, why they thought of it, where they got their idea from. But there is an origin myth associated with jelly beans. And again, this can't be proven, but it's pretty fun. The idea is that it's a hybrid of two different types of candies. And those candies are one, Turkish delight, and two, Jordanian almonds. And Turkish delight is not really popular over here in the States. It's popular in the UK and Europe and places like that. If you've read or watched The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, it's mentioned in there. It is Edmund's favorite candy. And it's this little jelly-like candy that's semi-firm, but it's still really soft. So the idea is that this candy was the inspiration for the middle of a jelly bean. A Jordanian almond is candy coated on the outside and it's hard. And the idea is that candy coating gave the person the idea to coat the outside of the jelly bean with a semi-hard surface with the soft jelly-like middle. With that said, what is a jelly bean? We know it's candy, but how do you make it? It's got three ingredients, basically: sugar, corn syrup, and starch. And that starch is used to give it that jelly-like texture on the middle. The hard coating is created through a sugaring process called panning. This process is also used in other candies like M&Ms. It just creates that semi-hard coating on the outside of the candy. Today, there's all kinds of flavoring ingredients that go into make jelly beans. So you have a wide range of flavors you could possibly choose from. And for some of them, they use an edible beeswax coating to keep it from sticking to the other beans within the packaging. So first appearances, when did we first start seeing jelly beans? Again, here's another myth that is kind of hard to prove. The idea is that William Shaft, who made candy here in the US, encouraged Americans to send jelly beans to soldiers in the Civil War. And this was about 1862. It's confirmed that he encouraged his business during the Civil War, but we don't exactly know if he specifically said jelly beans. However, by the 1900s, jelly beans are a firmly established popular penny candy here in the US. And a penny candy is kind of what we would consider bulk candy today. They're usually individually wrapped, or you can buy them in single pieces. You can go into any candy store and you pay pennies for it. It was something that was pretty accessible to anyone regardless of income level, especially accessible to children, considering they were the ones most likely to have just a couple pennies on them. And there's all kinds of other penny candies. You can look them up. Basically any popular candy you can think of today, if it's been around a while, usually started as a penny candy. However, by the 1930s, this is when we see jelly beans firmly establish themselves commercially in conjunction with Easter. The idea is that other than their bean-like shape, when you place them in like a cute little Easter basket, they resemble eggs. And then they got another popularity surge in the 1960s with Ronald Reagan. Ronald Reagan was a huge fan of jelly beans. In the 60s, he was the governor of California. In the 80s, he became the president of the United States. The rumor mill has it. This one's full of a lot of rumors, but rumors are fun. They tell you a lot about at least the perception of something, that he used jelly beans to wean himself off of smoking, and that he always had a bowl of jelly beans around for any type of meeting. That includes meetings in the Oval Office. So in the 1980s, Jelly Belly also made him his own flavor. I believe it was the blueberry flavor, because they released a red, white, and blue edition of the jelly beans, and the blue was the blueberry, which is the first time they'd made that flavor. So that brings us to modern day jelly beans. I think probably the most iconic brand we can all think of is Jelly Belly. There are other brands, but they definitely have the corner market on this one. That company started in 1965 with this individual here, Herman. I would like to say his last name, but it's hard for me to do so. And he began injecting flavors in them. Originally, there was only a handful of flavors, maybe I think it was about 8 total. And there's like, things like cherry, like very, very basic, simple, flavors. However, that changes. So Jelly Belly starts wanting to add more flavors. You get things like buttered popcorn, blueberry. You can buy whole sets that have, I think they got like at least 50 flavors now, probably more. I don't eat a lot of jelly beans, so I can't tell you all the flavors that are out there. But we have every flavor bean now. Jelly Belly quickly jumped on the candy offerings in Harry Potter. So if you've read the books or maybe seen the movies, you understand there's all kinds of candy in there, but probably one of the most well-known is Bertie Bott's Every Flavor Bean, which Jelly Belly brought to life. So there's all kinds of what we consider normal flavors, and then the oddball flavors that you found in the books. Sardine flavored, dirt flavored, vomit flavored, earwax. But the thing that Jelly Belly does, which is kind of sneaky, is they use the same color for several different flavors of a jelly bean. So if you get a yellow one, are you getting buttered popcorn? Or are you getting snot? Snot is a flavor, or is it snot or booger flavored? And I have had many boxes of Bertie Bott's Every Flavor Bean, and I promise you, all those flavors I mentioned are in there, and they taste exactly like they're supposed to taste. I don't know who Jelly Belly's taste testers are, but I definitely think the ones who tested the vomit one definitely earned their paycheck on those days. And that is a very short, quick history of the jelly bean. It is probably one of our most iconic candies you can think of. If you have any suggestions for Quirky history, please comment below. The weirder, the better. I'd love to do more candy or anything else y'all can think of. And I will see you for the next edition of Quirky History. Have a good day. Bye.